The colossal chamber of Celestera hummed with a low, electric anticipation. Towering windows revealed a sprawling view of stars, distant nebulae swirling like cosmic storms. Inside, the stellar council gathered, an assembly of the galaxy's most ancient and powerful civilizations, each represented by figures so alien their appearances defied simple description. Some shimmered with translucent light, others carried the weight of millennia etched in their stoic faces. At the center, the holographic display flickered, projecting live images of Earth. What once was a vibrant jewel in the vast darkness had become a fractured world, battered by relentless natural disasters and ravaged by human conflict. Flames licked the skies over sprawling cities. Oceans churned with violent storms. Smoke veiled continents in choking darkness. The Exilary ambassador, an elegant figure with 1,000 slender limbs, folded in meditation, spoke first. We witnessed the unraveling of a world, not through cosmic force, but by the hands of its own creators. Humanity has long been dismissed as primitive, but their destruction reverberates beyond their system. We must consider the consequences of their decline. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Some counselors viewed humanity as a chaotic spark, a threat to galactic harmony. Others saw in them a stubborn resilience, a raw, unpolished force that might one day rise beyond their self-imposed cage. Amid the council, the Velmari delegate's voice was sharp with warning. The activation of the harmonic drive, an unprecedented breakthrough, was not without cost. Sensors report disruptions in spatial fabric near Sol. This could awaken forces long dormant. A tense silence followed. The Council's ancient records spoke of cosmic rifts sealed millennia ago, gateways to destructive powers best left forgotten. From the shadows of the chamber, a quiet voice rose. The human envoy, newly admitted but still regarded with wary eyes. "Our planet is dying," she said, her tone steady but heavy with grief. "We do not seek conquest. We seek survival. Our departure is not an act of defiance, but desperation. You see ruin. We see a chance for rebirth." As the debate deepened, the Council's chambers seemed to shrink under the weight of impending change. No one could deny it. Humanity's journey would alter the fate of the galaxy itself. Whether for salvation or destruction remained unknown. Outside Celestera, stars continued to shine cold and distant, indifferent to the fragile spark of a species ready to leap into the void. On the scared surface of Earth, the skies burned with a fierce, unnatural glow. Cities once teeming with life now lay in ruins, crumbling towers half swallowed by fires and dust. The air was thick with ash and the acrid scent of destruction. Beneath the shattered skyline, the last bastions of humanity clung to survival, fighting not just an enemy, but time itself. Deep inside an underground laboratory, shielded from the chaos above, a group of scientists and engineers raced against extinction. The room buzzed with tension and exhaustion. Amid blinking consoles and tangled wires, Dr. Ilara Voss stood over the central console of the harmonic drive, her fingers flying across the controls with a mix of desperation and hope. "This is our last chance," she murmured. Around her, technicians relayed frantic updates. Cities were falling, communication networks failing, and the planet's magnetic field was flickering erratically. The harmonic drive, humanity's greatest and most dangerous innovation, was their only hope for escape. Outside the lab's reinforced walls, distant explosions shook the earth, and the cries of the wounded echoed faintly through the tunnels. The world's armies were locked in a final, brutal conflict. Brothers against brothers, ideologies clashing with a fury born of despair. As the scientists prepared the drive's activation sequence, the radio crackled with desperate messages. "Sector 7 is lost. Evacuation is impossible. God help us all." Another voice, trembling, whispered, "Is this really how it ends?" Ilara's gaze hardened. "No," she said firmly. "Not if we can help it." The moment of truth arrived. The drive powered up with a hum that grew into a roar, and a shimmering blue light filled the chamber. Instruments flickered wildly as the device tore a rift in space-time. Outside, sensors detected a ripple spreading across the solar system, a shockwave announcing humanity's leap into the stars. But the activation came at a cost. The energy surge destabilized Earth's fragile orbit, triggering violent quakes and electromagnetic storms. The planet groaned, its crust fracturing under the strain. As the drive's light faded, the scientists exchanged grim looks. The harmonic drive had bought humanity a chance to flee, but it had also awoken something ancient, something the Stellar Council feared. Above all, Ilara knew the truth. This was not just an escape. It was a gamble with the fate of the galaxy itself. The sky above Earth's last great spaceport burned with the light of 1,000 fires. Amid the shattered remnants of what had once been a thriving hub of human civilization, the colossal fleet prepared to leave their dying world behind. Makeshift starships, some repurposed war vessels, others hastily converted cargo freighters, lined the launch pads, each carrying the last hope of a shattered species. Families huddled in the cramped interiors, clutching children and possessions, faces etched with fear and determination. The air was thick with the scent of burning fuel and hope. Commander Orcs stood on the bridge of the flagship Endurance, his gaze locked on the fading blue planet below. "Prepare for jump sequence," he ordered, voice steady despite the turmoil within. Around him, crew members moved with practiced urgency, running checks and calibrations. The harmonic drive, a marvel born from desperation, would carry them beyond the solar system, into the unknown void. As countdown reached 0, the fleet shuddered and surged upward, breaking free of Earth's choking atmosphere. From the observation deck, Kellen watched as Earth's fragile silhouette diminished, swallowed by the darkness of space. The cheers and sobs from the crew mingled in a bittersweet symphony, a farewell to a world that had both nurtured and betrayed them. But even as they escaped, an invisible thread tugged at the edges of their communications. Unbeknownst to the fleeing fleet, a shadowy presence intercepted their signals, a signal unlike any human technology. It pulsed with an eerie cadence, a message not of welcome, but of watchfulness. Across the galaxy, the Stellar Council observed. Some saw humanity's departure as inevitable, a species running from self-inflicted ruin. Others whispered of the risks. What had the humans awakened with their reckless flight? The harmonic drive's power was a cosmic earthquake, shaking foundations that should have remained untouched. Back aboard the Endurance, Kalen's second-in-command, Lieutenant Soravance, monitored the strange signal with growing unease. "Sir, we're receiving an unidentified transmission," she reported, eyes scanning encrypted data streams. "It's not from any known faction." Kalen frowned. Could it be a distress call, or an enemy lurking in the shadows? "No," Sora replied, voice tight. "It feels deliberate, like someone, or something, is watching us, waiting." A heavy silence settled over the bridge. Humanity's exodus had become more than a desperate escape. It was a step into an uncertain abyss, where unseen eyes tracked their every move. And somewhere beyond the stars, a predator stirred. The vast emptiness of uncharted space stretched endlessly before the human fleet, a silent abyss filled with both promise and peril. For the first time in generations, the survivors of Earth faced a future not defined by ruin, but by unknown stars and unknown enemies. Suddenly, alarms shattered the fragile calm aboard the Endurance. Red lights bathed the command deck in urgency as Lieutenant Soravance shouted, "Multiple contacts approaching fast. Unknown vessels. Warships, by the look of them." The fleet's sensors confirmed the terrifying truth. A hostile alien armada, sleek and merciless, cut through the darkness like predatory shadows. Their war banners were alien glyphs pulsing with lethal energy, their intent unmistakable: annihilation. Kellen's voice cut through the chaos. "Battle stations. Protect the fleet at all costs." Despite their desperation and ragged condition, the humans rallied. The fleet's ships, though hastily assembled, responded with surprising coordination. Engineers pushed weapons beyond safe limits. Crews operated beyond exhaustion. Every human heart beat in unison with a single will to survive. The first salvo struck. Explosions rocked the Endurance as energy beams sliced through her hull. But Kalen's tactical mind refused to yield. Evasive maneuvers. Focus fire on the lead cruiser. The battle was brutal and chaotic. Human ships, smaller and less armed, relied on ingenuity. Pilots executed daring close-quarters attacks, while engineers improvised weapons from salvaged tech. A freighter transformed into a makeshift missile platform launched a barrage that crippled an enemy destroyer. Through sheer grit and unyielding spirit, the human fleet turned the tide. The alien attackers, surprised by humanity's ferocity and adaptability, began to falter. Yet every victory was costly. Ships burned, lives were lost, and hope hung by a thread. On the Endurance's bridge, Kalen stared at the carnage on the tactical display, voice heavy with resolve. We're not just fleeing extinction. We're fighting to prove that humanity belongs here, no matter the odds. Amid the battle, a new message flashed across the comm channels, an encrypted transmission from the Stellar Council itself, recognizing humanity's resilience, but warning of far greater dangers ahead. As the last enemy vessel disengaged, retreating into the blackness, a haunting realization settled among the survivors. This baptism by fire was only the beginning. The void they had entered was darker and deadlier than anyone had imagined. The moment the last alien warship disappeared into the void, the human fleet's exhausted crews breathed a tentative sigh of relief. Yet the victory tasted bitter. Shipwrecks floated silently in the starry black, and the shadows of what lurked beyond weighed heavily on every mind. Deep within the Stellar Council's grand chambers, the tension had grown unbearable. Sensors across the galaxy began reporting alarming anomalies, disturbances in spacetime near the Sol system that no known phenomenon could explain. Ancient wormholes, once dormant, now trembled, their seals cracking as if awakened by the harmonic drive's devastating power. Councillor Darash, an elder of the Valari, slammed a clawed fist on the crystalline table. This is no accident. Humanity's flight has triggered a cataclysm that threatens all. The old wards are breaking. If we do not act, entire star systems will be consumed. His words ignited fierce debate. Some councillors demanded immediate sanctions, containment or destruction of the human fleet to prevent further damage. Others, including the human envoy Ilara Voss, pleaded for understanding. We fled a dying world to survive, she argued. If the galaxy turns on us now, who else will bear the cost? But the fractures ran deep. Secret factions began mobilizing in the shadows, eager to exploit the chaos for their own gain. Smugglers, mercenaries, and warlords stirred, sensing the galaxy's fragile order slipping. Meanwhile, aboard the human flagship Endurance, whispers of the cosmic upheaval reached the bridge. Lieutenant Sora Vance's fingers danced over the console as she monitored the rippling distortions. Commander, the spatial rift near Sol is growing unstable. We might have set something in motion beyond our control. Kalen's jaw tightened. How do we fight an enemy we can't even see? The answer came abruptly. Long-range sensors detected massive objects, ancient war machines, relics from a forgotten era, stirring from their eons of slumber. They pulsed with cold, mechanical menace, moving toward the destabilized rift like vultures drawn to blood. Humanity's escape had become the spark that ignited a dormant threat. The galaxy's fragile peace shattered, and now all eyes turned toward the unknown menace, growing stronger with each passing moment. The Stellar Council scrambled to unify, but time was slipping away. The ripples of catastrophe spread like wildfire, and the question loomed: could the galaxy survive what humanity had unwittingly unleashed? The Stellar Council's chambers were suffused with a suffocating atmosphere of urgency and discord. Delegates from countless star systems filled the vast hall, their voices rising and clashing like a tempest. The ancient crystalline walls reflected the flashing holograms that charted the spreading chaos. Distortions in space, the awakening of war machines, and the human fleet drifting at the epicenter of the storm. Counselor Darash's clawed fingers gripped the armrest, his voice a harsh command. Humanity's reckless escape has shattered the delicate balance. We must act, contain or destroy the fleet before their harm spreads further. From the human delegation, Ilara Voss stepped forward, her expression resolute despite the mounting hostility. We did not choose destruction. It was forced upon us by a dying world. We seek only survival and peace. Punishing us will not heal the wounds. We must find a way to work together. Murmurs of skepticism and outright anger rippled through the assembly. The Velmari delegate's tone was icy. Hope alone cannot excuse the destruction they caused. The ancient machines awaken. Star systems fall silent. Their presence is a threat none of us can ignore. Amid the growing tensions, a lesser-known faction, the Ketheri, offered a surprising voice of reason. We have studied humanity's tenacity. Their survival instinct is unlike any species we have encountered. If harnessed, it might be the key to facing the threat we now face. A vote was called, but the outcome was a stalemate, fracturing the council further. The factions who advocated destruction began clandestine preparations to strike, while those favoring alliance sought to open communication channels with the humans. Unbeknownst to most, a human envoy, operating covertly within the council's vast halls, transmitted urgent data to the Endurance, evidence of advanced technology harvested from Earth's crucible, including new defenses capable of countering the ancient war machines. Callan Rourke, aboard the Endurance, studied the encrypted transmissions. If this technology is real, it could shift the balance. We cannot wait for the Council's verdict. We must prove our worth. The Council's divisions mirrored the galaxy's fractured state. Some saw mankind as a reckless contagion. Others glimpsed a spark of hope in the darkness. As the debate raged, the ancient machines crept ever closer to the rift, and time slipped through their fingers like grains of stardust. Outside the council chambers, the cold stars twinkled, indifferent to the fate of a species struggling to claim its place. The verdict would not just decide humanity's fate, it would shape the destiny of all who dwelled in the galaxy. Tensions simmered in the vast halls of Celestura as the human and voice transmissions flickered across the Council's communication networks. The encrypted data revealed revolutionary technology, adaptive defenses, and weapons forged from humanity's desperate struggle on Earth, capable of disrupting the ancient war machines now advancing toward the destabilized rift. Callan Rourke stood on the bridge of the Endurance, watching the stars pass by as the fleet adjusted course toward a newly discovered system rich in resources and strategic value. The Council's fragile alliance was their only hope, but trust remained elusive. "We must prove ourselves," Callan told Lieutenant Soravance. "The Council's patience won't last forever." Meanwhile, within the council chambers, old rivalries and suspicion brewed. A faction known as the Tyrathi, fiercely opposed to humanity's presence, pushed for a preemptive strike. But the Ketheri and a growing coalition of allies argued that the humans' technology and will to survive could tip the balance in the looming war. Ilara Voss addressed the council again, her voice steady and passionate. "We have faced extinction and emerged stronger. Our technology is not just a weapon. It's a beacon of innovation born from survival. Join us. Together, we can stand against the ancient threat." Her words echoed through the chamber, reaching even the hardened hearts of the skeptics. Yet doubt lingered. Could these battered humans truly hold the key to salvation? As diplomatic channels opened, back-channel negotiations began in shadowed corridors. Deals were struck, betrayals plotted. A covert group of human diplomats worked tirelessly to build trust, sharing data and offering joint missions to gather intelligence on the ancient machines. On the front lines, the human fleet trained for what they knew was inevitable. Pilots simulated dogfights, engineers enhanced weapon systems, and soldiers prepared for boarding actions. Bonds formed between human and alien crews, tentative friendships forged in the crucible of survival. Then, a breakthrough. A joint reconnaissance mission uncovered a critical weakness in the war machine's defenses. It was a narrow opening, but it offered a chance. Kalen sent a message to the Council. Humanity will lead the strike. We will prove that we are not just survivors, but protectors of this galaxy. The Council hesitated, but the threat was growing, and options were running out. Outside the stars continued their silent vigil, unaware that the fragile alliance forming within the Council's chambers was humanity's last hope against an ancient darkness ready to consume all.